What's up, guys? Catching up with Cass in the two major trades today in the MLB landscape for free agency. I think it answered a lot of questions, especially for the Astros trading Kyle Tucker to the Chicago Cubs. And honestly, Kyle Tucker is an amazing player, and he's going to be awesome in Chicago. He would have been awesome anywhere he went. But outside of an extension, this kind of makes little sense for Chicago. But if they're able to get an extension, this is awesome, and it's a win-win for both sides. But I just don't see it happening. But also, I got to commend the Cubs for just going big for a star and pairing it with Dansby Swanson and Nico Hoerner and all of those guys. Got to respect that big time. Obviously, I think Cody Bellinger's on the move somewhere, likely the Yankees, maybe. But the Cubs swung big, and maybe Kyle Tucker loves Wrigley Field a lot, and he decides to sign a huge contract. I don't think so, but I mean, he deserves the bag, so he's going to get it from somewhere, and Wrigley Field is historic and awesome that way, but I think the Astros did a really nice job of retooling as well, realizing that you're not going to sign Kyle Tucker and being able to get a pretty nice package back, especially Isaac Paredes, tailor-made for the Crawford boxes, his swing, and also nice job by the Cubs realizing that Paredes' swing profile and what he's best at doesn't really fit Wrigley Field. So, and for the Astros, great player, gives infield versatility. Probably says that Paredes is going to play third, so that takes you out on Bregman, which I think is going to be fine in the long run. Bregman's amazing, but sometimes it just doesn't marry well, and I think Paredes definitely will do that. Hayden Wesneski, 5 years of control, a young pitcher. You can have him as a hybrid starting pitcher or a relief pitcher. And a first-round Cam Smith infielder, really highly touted. So that helps your organizational depth for the Astros as well. And I think Hayden Wesneski will be in the starting rotation, so they have really good, most likely, but they have really good pitching depth there as well. And like I said, the Cubs swinging big. It's a little interesting because I don't think their offense was necessarily the problem. And Paredes was still a 4.95 WAR player, and then Bellinger was close-ish around there, 4.4 last year. So they're, and Kyle Tucker 5.6. So I mean, those kind of numbers, it doesn't jive, but I understand going for the big fish, getting it, and getting your team excited. Plus, they spent on Shota Imanaga when they said they weren't going to. So their plans have flipped, and I appreciate that from that perspective. And getting a star in your uniform is always warm and fuzzy and exciting. And I think this could easily be a win-win for both sides. But if you don't re-sign Kyle Tucker, which doesn't appear to be the case so far, because of the astronomical contracts guys are getting, Kyle Tucker is definitely going to get the bag for sure. And I think that Houston Astros are doing a nice job getting ahead of the curve on the retooling aspect, because reacquiring Justin Verlander really took a couple of your big blue chip prospects that I thought were going to be cornerstones. So kind of retooling that is nice, and still a really, really good lineup. And it's younger, it's different, but I think it's still going to be successful. You still got Yordan Alvarez, Altuve, those type guys. So I think it's young, different, and still going to be successful. It's and you bolster your young pitching staff even more. So, more to think about it, could be a win-win even if Kyle Tucker doesn't sign. But it just felt like a weird destination for Kyle Tucker, because I don't know if necessarily the Cubs are ready to win right now, but they could make a push in the definite weird NL Central that it always is. It's going to be competitive, it's going to be muddy, it's going to be murky. So this could definitely put them over the edge in that aspect for sure. So very intriguing trade for both sides. I understand it from both sides now that I talk it out more so, but I like it more for the Astros than I do necessarily the Cubs. But I also thought Kyle Tucker was going to be the cornerstone that Houston was going to build around. Obviously, it's not the case, but it's always interesting to see how teams build their teams to try to compete for divisions and World Series, and this is definitely super, super interesting, but very, very exciting just to keep that train moving, because this offseason's been exciting and different. Obviously, the Braves have been super quiet, but doing some different things, and we'll see what the Cubs do with their surplus of outfield depth now. But as always, go Braves. Champions forever. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps out a lot. Thanks, guys.